I'll just give a brief overview and introduction and then hand it over to Amelie first. And then the students who are participating today, please all feel free to gather any kinds of questions. Some of the ventures are actually relatively related to some of your own course projects. So if there's something specific in relation to, what you might learn from it, that would be great. And otherwise, we also are happy about general Q&As and reflections that you might have. Don't be afraid. Also, the speakers. I just wanted to bring this one slide up again, and then I'll stop talking. Right? There's no presentation from my side. I just wanted to give everyone the overview. So we have Amelie Vermeer first, who's going to talk about her experience as an entrepreneur of Spoontainable, and that's, I think, an interesting combination, an exciting combination as a manager. In the startup support and incubation for students at the University of Heidelberg called High Innovation, which I think, but maybe Amelie can tell us more, started off being very focused on sort of technical, sort of technology-oriented, potentially medical startups and incubation, but especially, and I hope through people like her, is also focusing on things like sustainable and social entrepreneurship more and more. As the second speaker, we have Tatiana T from Enactus Mannheim. Some of the students have come across Enactus already. It's a student initiative at the University of Mannheim, which is focusing on social and sustainable entrepreneurship. And she's going to talk about a project of theirs. As you see, they are quite active in developing these student projects, and she's going to give us some first-hand insights. One of her comments was also that probably we're not going to be able to put the whole talk on it because they're actually currently in the process of registering a patent, which I think is going to be quite interesting and exciting as well. But we'll hear from Tatiana some more later on. And our third speaker is Bertram Fischer, who is the founder of Microagriculture or Mikrolandwirtschaft, which has this strong ecological aspect, but also I think a strong sort of solidarity and community economy aspect combined with it. So this is the overview, and I'll hand it over to Dominika to introduce Tatiana, and then later on Bertram.
Thank you. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amelie. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's move on to the second presentation. Veronica, I'm afraid that Amelie will not be able to answer your question now anymore. No,
that was just applause.
Yeah, it was the plot. So yeah, I thought you raised your hand. Yeah, okay, so welcome, Tatiana. You're here now, right?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi, great to have you. Hi. Yeah, so it's really great that you can participate and present one of the projects on the Enactus. So Georgia has already talked shortly about Enactus, the largest students initiative in the context of entrepreneurship in Europe, right? And also with a large group in Germany and a very active group in Mannheim at the University of Mannheim. So it's an initiative where students jointly develop social startups and ideas for social startups and actually develop them further and make them really work. And you are the project leader of one of the current projects, which we'll talk about today, which is CU-Mehrwert System. So you're developing or having a returnable system, in particular for dried fruits and dried vegetables, right? We will hear more about that. And you were one of the founders of this project and accompanied it right from the beginning. So there's surely a lot of insights that you can give, and I will leave the floor to you.
Yes, thank you. Let me share my presentation. 1 second. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, all good.
Great, great. So I can tell a little bit about our background story. So our project is a little special because usually in Enactus there's always one project belonging to each city. But for us, we're different because we came together from different universities, from Mannheim, Karlsruhe, and Munich. And we came out of a competition that was initiated by Haribo and Enactus Germany. And the goal of this competition was to develop a reuse system for dry foods. So we came together as a team, especially for that. And we developed our reuse system and won the competition, and that was 1 year ago. It was a German-wide competition, and yeah, since then we're working closely together with Haribo. It's important to mention that we're still completely independent from them, but they're helping us with expertise, know-how, and just supporting us whenever we have questions. Yeah, and we are planning to found our startup pretty soon, in a few months. We haven't founded it yet, but just a GbR. I'm not sure what's that called in English. Yeah, so we're really planning to continue with it, and yeah, to hopefully make it big. So I can just start to explain a little bit what it's all about. So as you all probably know, most packaging in supermarkets is still made out of single-use plastics. But in Germany, we often think everything can be recycled, it's no problem, right? But yeah, that's not really the case. Yeah, these are only the numbers for Germany. I'm sure in other countries it might be similar. In Germany, 55% of all plastic packaging is recycled, but only 6% of all post-consumer waste is actually turned into new plastic packaging. So we see that our recycling isn't really ideal. And yeah, for companies, that also poses a lot of challenges, because there are many regulatory and political pressures to reduce the use of single-use plastic. And yeah, that makes the costs for single-use plastic very high, and it calls for scalable and competitive solutions for companies to secure their marketplace. And this is where we step in. So we developed this new deposit system with a standardized reusable food container. On the right side, you can see a prototype. This is just 3D printing, so that's not how it's going to look in the end. Yes. Yeah, and our system has a life cycle, just like the Germans will know it from reused bottles. So the packaging is directly filled at the food producer's site, and then it's transported to the supermarket where consumers can buy it and then return into the standard deposit machines that are already in all supermarkets, reuse deposit machines. And after that, we clean the containers, or we partner with external service providers who clean the containers and check them for their quality. And then we transport them to the next food producer in the region. And we want to keep the transportation routes as short as possible to reduce CO2. And yeah, on the slide, you can see the partners that we already required for our proof of concept. Yes, and these are the principles that we developed our concept on. So sustainability, compatibility, and simplicity, that was very, very important to us. Of course, sustainability is the most important one. We only want to introduce our system where it is really necessary. So reuse is not ideal for all products. And compatibility, we designed every step of the system to be as compatible as possible with already existing systems in logistics and everything else. And simplicity, it should be as simple as possible for consumers, so they shouldn't have to change a lot in their behavior, to increase the acceptance. And yeah, now I can dive a little more into the details of our container. So it's made out of durable polypropylene. It's easily recyclable because of that, and it's certified for 50 cycles, 50 reuse cycles. The size is 430 milliliters, and it's optimized for current manufacturing machines and cleaning machines. It's also optimized for secondary packaging, such as IFCO and Europool. And yeah, we have a large paper band around the container that allows companies to design their brand as they're used to design it. And yeah, we offer shelf-ready packaging to decrease the amount that the retail has to how do you say, has to work. Yeah. And yes, the next slide. Yeah, so in the beginning, we will focus on sweets and dry pulses and other products such as oats, for example. But we believe that our system has a large potential in the packaging industry. So like the TAM, the total addressable market, is 7 billion euros. The serviceable addressable market is 2.5 billion euros. And the serviceable obtainable market is 1 million euros. These are, of course, only assumptions, but this is what we communicate to external partners. This is a slide about our competitors. So we believe that the market is in a fluid phase now where there's no dominant player who's on the surface yet. So there are many standalone solutions that focus on more expensive regional or bio products, and the mass market is still untouched. And our solution offers a potential for a wide variety of products. We really focus on being a mass market solution with a low complexity and being implementation ready. Yes. Yeah, and now maybe a little bit more about our business model. So we call it a reuse as a service business model, which should offer low entry barriers for all participants. That means we rent out the container to food producers, take care of the logistics, and coordinate the whole system. So in the beginning, we will work with external service providers for cleaning and quality control, but in the future, we can also build own system in cooperation with other reuse players on the market. And in return, we receive a fee per cycle, per container, from the food producers. And the deposit, now we calculated a deposit of 25 cents, but that might change. The deposit is passed on through the cycle. Yes. Okay, so where do we stand now? We finalized our concept and the container. We started our patenting process, acquired relevant partners. Last week we had a digital roundtable discussion with several big food producers in Germany. It was a very, very nice and long discussion where we talked about all the challenges that they see for themselves, but we got positive feedback from them, and they want to keep talking to us, keep working with us. And our next big step would be a proof of concept where we test the whole system in a very, very small non-industrial scale. So we want to do it with just a few supermarkets, a few thousand containers maximum over a few weeks, and just one cycle to just see how it works, and how consumers accept it, and if the consumers really return the containers as they have to do, because otherwise the system won't work. This is our team. We are a very big team of 10 people. In the beginning, we were only 5, and then we were growing and growing. And yes, that was it. I'm excited for your questions, and thank you.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. It's really great to see and to hear what you did last week and 2 weeks ago. I think for the participants of this course who are also working on the project, right? I think this is really enlightening to see how such a project can develop and what are the important steps from developing an idea, talking to different stakeholders, and then now preparing the proof of concept, where you already have quite a clear picture of how this might look like. So I think this is really very, very valuable for this course. Thanks for your presentation. And we already have Roman who has a question. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. First of all, thank you for your presentation. I really like I like the idea behind it. But I have 2 questions actually. One of those is about universality. How's it called? Universalizable? No, is it really universal? Because like I'm thinking about light sensitive products like yogurt, for example, and your container is transparent, or let's say acidic products like wines or something like that. They might react with the plastic. So did you think of that? So that's my first question. And my second question is about just the shape of your can. Why did you design it round? Because like when it comes to logistics, a round shape is not usually like the most efficient one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for your questions. Great questions. Regarding yogurt or wine or just how do you say, fluid products, we only focus on dry products. So this is our market. There are other players who fill fluid products in reuse systems, but we really only focus on dry products. For example, like sweets and oats, seeds, dry pulses like lentils or anything. So these are the only products that fit into our container, because as you said, other products would migrate into the plastics and leave the scent or the color, and so it's not completely universal, but that's why we limit it. And your second question was about the shape. That is also a very great question, and also one of the first challenges that we had to solve. Do we make it round or do we make it what's it called? Yeah. So there are a few reasons why we made it round. First reason is the deposit machines. The new deposit machines of Tomra, they can take. They can also take the other shape, but they will only be available in all supermarkets from 2025. And now the deposit machines, they can only take the round shape. So that's why we focus on this. Also, we talked to logistics experts and they said, of course, round is not ideal, but we had to weigh the reasons. And for example, round is also better for cleaning machines. And it's also more attractive to the consumer, because when you walk into the supermarket, you mostly only see round shapes. So that's why we decided for this.
Okay, thank you so much.
Other questions?
Yanan, please.
Yeah, hi. I just want to ask regarding the last question. So if, let's see, if after 2025, there will be the other machines, recycling machines available in the supermarket, in the market, will you also prefer to change your shape, or you're going to just stick to the round shape?
That is
because then it would be kind of like a, it's kind of like a repositioning stuff. Like you are gonna change a lot within your brand. Yeah. It might also be that easy. So,
that's a good question, but I don't think that we will change it. I mean, these are questions for scaling. I'm sure it won't stay as it is forever. Like we will have to adjust some of the container. Maybe in a few years we can choose another material that is more sustainable, because now we're just using normal polypropylene. I don't think I know what will happen in 5 years, but I can't imagine that we would change it, because now the deposit machine is not the only reason for the round shapes, but there are some reasons that make the round shape just better for us. So if in 5 years we see that it's not good enough, then we could try to change it, but I don't think that would be very efficient.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And probably in 5 years you will have more experience, right? And can then make a more profound decision on how it could look like. Michał.
Yes, hello. Thank you for your presentation. Maybe you just answered about that, but I would like to ask you how you see yourself in the future. Do you have some kind of long-term strategy, maybe, about your product, and how is actually going on in like more foresight perspective and that stuff?
We don't have a concrete long-term strategy. Our strategy now is really to focus on our proof of concept, to focus short-term, and then from that analyze our results and then plan the scaling. And the scaling will occur through talking to more and more food manufacturers, planning the logistics, and of course then talking to investors, approaching VCs and whatever. That is the scaling. But first we will we really need a test to just test how it's going to work. Yeah.
Okay, great. I can't wait to see your product in the market, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a good question, because what we ask in the student projects now, the groups to do, is also to think of the scaling strategy already now, which is, of course, since they don't have a proof of concept yet, a very challenging task. And of course, they cannot think of all the details, but the idea was to think of what potential does the ideas have, and is it possible to scale it, and what could be strategies. I think this is why the question was important now. What I was wondering when I saw the picture of the competitors, when you tried to describe the landscape, was actually how did you, or was there any contact with these organizations, right? I mean, in this social entrepreneurship context, the expectation is that you give out your knowledge easier than perhaps other companies, that you're willing to cooperate and perhaps adapt your business model. So was there any ideas of cooperating with one of the current players, or did you get very valuable insights from them, or how was your perception of the market, which is mainly populated by other organizations who are also interested in achieving sustainability goals, right? Mm-hmm. So was it very cooperative and active, or rather not so much?
Yeah, so this is a very, very important topic, because we have to find the balance between still being competitive and being a profitable company and a startup, and especially in a reuse system, cooperating with other players. And we believe that in the beginning now, it's good that there are many small solutions who try to develop the best possible product. But in the end, especially with reuse systems, there have to be standards that are built together. So cooperation is very, very essential and necessary. We already started where, for example, we're part of some communities, some programs. For example, there's a reuse community in Germany, and we're like co-founders of it also. It's called Mehrwegverband Deutschland. And all the reuse players, also our competitors, are in it. And if there are topics that need to be discussed, we discuss it. Also, there are programs for circular economy startups in general, where they try to coordinate that. So they ask all the startups, okay, what are your current needs right now? And what would you like to discuss with other startups who face the same challenges? And then we get together in calls and we talk about it. For example, now there are meetings about cleaning logistics and return logistics. And we talk about that with our competitors, what their solutions are. So I believe it's important, but we also can't forget that we still can't tell them everything, and we still kind of need to be competitive in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great to emphasize this balance, or a little bit of kind of trade-off also, probably, right, between competition on the one hand and cooperation. But I think what was important, what I remember now is that you emphasize, in particular in the context in which you are and the context or the market in which you are, that is really important and also decides how you will cooperate. Because as you said, developing standards in the reusable or refill system is key, right? I mean, you develop your product according to the machines that are out there currently. So I think this is very important to take into account what is the market and what are their needs and requirements. But generally, I think it's great to hear that you exchange with other organizations and try to promote this general idea further. And I think this is a characteristic of many social startups, that they, on the one hand, want to grow as organizations, right, and be successful, but at the same time, you do promote a broader social cause or want to contribute to a broader social cause, which is doesn't make it easier, right? The tasks that you have.
Yes, I agree.
Other questions or comments? Although we are running a little bit, I'm not sure. I didn't check the time at the beginning. I hope somebody did, but I think we are running kind of out of time.
Just a little bit. I just wanted to maybe add a brief reflection. So what I really loved and is quite nicely coherent with what we were talking about in the course is this one slide where you had all of the different partners and all of the different stakeholders that were involved and how that made a difference. And we were talking in the course about, how you need to zoom out of your own organization. And I think this is a particularly interesting field where, as Dominika said, I mean, it's really about standard shaping. On the one hand side, you need to adapt to it a little bit, as you said, right? So the machines are there. That's why we need to go for the circular instead of the rectangular shape. But maybe as time goes, there's going to be some evolution there, and you only really get to that probably by sort of, timing this and also shaping them to some degree. So this is really, really fantastic in terms of, how it aligns with some of the stuff that we've discussed. So thanks very much.
Yes, thank you.